Welcome to the New Orleans Saints Training Camp Report, game preview edition as we get set for preseason game number 3 between New Orleans Saints and the Los Angeles Chargers. We're going to go a little old school right here and bring in my partner in crime, John DeShazier, senior writer for NewOrleansSaints.com. JD, great to have you here on the show. And camp as we know it is basically over with the preseason game coming up on Friday. And then basically the focus is for the regular season. You've been out here every day. What have you seen and what are your thoughts on all that you have observed during camp?
Well, I think we've seen, if we can go by what we saw in the field, I think we've seen a defense that's ready to be one of the best in the league. They finished last season as one of the best in the league. They don't seem that they missed a beat, and in fact, looks like they might have escalated. We know they lost both safeties from last year, Malcolm Jenkins and Marcus Williams, and yet you replace them with a Tyrann Mathieu and a Marcus May, and you feel pretty good about that position. The defense looks really good. Offensively, we're just not exactly certain because Jameis Winston missed a few weeks with the sprained foot, and we finally got an opportunity to speak to him. He seems like he's in good spirits. Now Michael Thomas is dealing with a hamstring issue, and Michael Thomas is pretty much the linchpin for this passing offense. You get him on the field and you feel a lot better about what this team is able to do offensively. So I think the offense is still on the come, but the defense is one that I believe can not just hold you in games, can win games for you.
The regular season starts September 11th, and as we head into the third preseason game, there have been a number of starters that have not taken a snap in a preseason game. Regardless of what happens against the Chargers, are we at the point now in this version of the National Football League where it just doesn't matter if players play in the preseason?
Well, here's what's happening. You get the joint practice, and that's a preseason game for most of the starters. They'll get the quality work there. The quality work was done against Green Bay, so it wouldn't shock me if Tyrann Mathieu didn't play. It wouldn't shock me if Marshawn Lattimore didn't play, and he's battling a bit of an injury. It wouldn't shock me if Cam Jordan, who's healthy, doesn't play in that game. I think Jameis Winston is going to really lobby to be in that game. He wants to get out there, and if it's only a series or two, he wants to be out there, but you have to weigh the risk reward if you're Dennis Allen. You've got to say, okay, do I want my starting quarterback out there and maybe not the offensive line that I would have him out there with, or does that offensive line have to play because he's playing? So you got to weigh the risk and reward with that. And a lot of times, look, you can't listen to the player. You can't trust those dudes. They want to play. And so you cannot listen to them in those situations. Sometimes you have to save them from themselves. If I was the head coach, I probably wouldn't play him, but he's so adamant about being out there and he wants to get that feel for it.
It's really such a different deal from what happened a year ago when he was out there for a half in one of the preseason games, because obviously at that time we didn't know who the starting quarterback was. But again, it is an iffy proposition, JD, because you're telling a guy to go out there and play in live action against the Atlanta Falcons without having taken a live snap or being hit for that matter. So it is definitely a give and take type of deal.
Yeah, and that's the situation, because practice, you cannot simulate what's going to happen in a game. You can go as fast as you want to in practice. You can practice as hard as you want to, but it's different than having an opponent out there that's scheming against you, that's putting in a lot of work to stop what it is that you want to do offensively. So, that's the kind of give and take that Dennis Allen is going to have to look at in that. We haven't seen Alvin Kamara, probably won't, but how much work does he need? But Jameis Winston probably did need the work. When he missed it with that injury, that set him back a bit because he wasn't able to build the cohesiveness that you want with the unit.
A lot of talent on this team, JD, as we wrap this thing up. But you've been out here every day. You've watched every practice. You've seen the games. Who has been your most impressive player in this training camp?
Paulson Adebo. Start to finish, I think he has had as good a training camp as a cornerback can have in terms of just the level of play where he's jumped. He finished out pretty well last year. He played pretty well. He started as a third-round draft pick. But this year, he seems to have jumped to such a level where you feel comfortable putting him in any situation on the field. His football knowledge is really skyrocketed, but the physical skills that he puts with it, the anticipation, the understanding of, if he mentioned it the other day, if a guy lines up in a certain split, I know he can't run this route. That kind of recognition makes him jump another level, and we've just seen him be impressive from the start.
No better endorsement than that. That's John DeShazier, senior writer for NewOrleansSaints.com. Again, my partner in crime right here as we have been together now on Pelicans broadcasts and everything else, but getting them back on the New Orleans Saints training camp show right here on Your View.